Hey everybody, welcome back to Fantasy Inc. My name is Wyeth, and today we are talking about the extremely funny fantasy series, The Dark Profit Saga, written by Zachary Pike. Let's chat about it. The Dark Profit Saga is a fantasy satire series written by Zachary Pike. Like I said in the intro, it is hilarious and completely unique. The setting of the story takes place on a world with a plethora of magical creatures and an interesting economic and power structure. Some are considered just regular civilians and others are considered foes and are labeled as monsters. In this world, there are adventurers sent out on contracts, and with this very capitalistic system, it is wrought with injustice and conniving people who are just trying to get a leg up on everyone else. This series is a satire on the Western culture of capitalism running the world, having these large organizations basically divvy up loots from specific dungeon raids between the adventurers who obtained it, the people who found the dungeon, and the backers who provided the startup capital for the said raid. And it is so funny. Zachary Pike is a hilarious author whose level of foreshadowing is almost immediate and abrupt, like a slap to the back of the head. One character will say one line, and the reader's perspective will transport to a different character half the country away who basically finishes that line but is completely talking about something else. It is a unique writing style that I can very much appreciate. As of right now, there are 2 books out in the Dark Profit series. The first is Orconomics, and the second is Son of a Litch, and they both were very entertaining to read. Our main cast of characters that we focus on are some members of society who have fallen on hard times and are basically cajoled into going on a quest that none of them very much have any interest in, but if they don't, each of them have their own dire circumstances that will catch up with them. Whether that be people from their past trying to take them out, or they are disgraced old adventurers who are just trying to get back into the game. The cast of characters themselves are very well built out and funny beyond belief, and I have to say, definitely draw you into the story. Something that potential readers should be made aware of is that this series is filled with a lot of financial lingo, and it may go over the heads of some. In my case, I was able to catch about half of it and ended up taking some time after certain parts of the book to research what the author is alluding to. I'll have to go back and rewatch The Big Short just to get my chops back up on some of the things that Zachary Pike was discussing. Even though some of the information may have gone over my head, the story and the plot behind the actual book is not lacking. It's not just completely satire, it's 50-50% between that and a fantasy novel, and Zachary Pike definitely does not disappoint. Here we're going to go ahead and jump over the deep dive, talking about what's happened in these last 2 books, and I hope that y'all go ahead, if you haven't already, and pick up this series, because if you like to laugh, this is the one for you. Our main cast of characters are fantastic. Whether that's Gorm Ingerson, Cathea, Haraldin, or Geist, or any of the others, I have to say, they are so well defined, and each of them are trying their best to be good people, but are held back by their pasts. And yes, that's kind of a common theme for a lot of characters in fantasy series, at least the ones I've recently been reading. But I gotta say, it's done very well here, and I think all of y'all can probably agree. We'll go ahead and start with Gorm Ingerson, the disgraced adventurer who fled a mission with Johan back in the day and is now trying to get his adventuring life back. Being thrown into this new journey with the 7 heroes, he's being forced to become the leader of the adventuring party because Nelm, the priest, is definitely not cut out for the job. Yes, his goal was to assemble the adventurers, and he was able to do that, though it's still up in the air who the 7th adventurer is, and I would love to get y'all's opinion on who it could be in the comments below. My money's on Poldo, but we'll have to see how this thing shakes on out. Going back to Gorm Ingerson, he's definitely trying to do the right thing. He's becoming more and more idealistic as the series goes on, trying to help the little guy because he sees that the foes are definitely falling underfoot to the people in the back rooms, specifically the investment organization run by the 2 gentlemen working with Johann, the new king, as of book number 2. And he's trying to do his best, but oftentimes it doesn't exactly work out the way he's trying to make it happen. Going on over to some other characters, Cathea is definitely my favorite. Really what gave her such a unique perspective was her addiction to salve, and she's making excuses in her head, and I don't know if Zachary Pike had known someone with addiction issues in his life, but it is definitely realistic. That she is falling into the own trap that addicts always do, saying, I can stop whenever I want to, and this is coupled with her trying to figure out who she is now, seeing as she's an elf, and she has lived so long that she's forgot how to be the old Cathea. And I thought this was a wonderful route to go down, and she's basically pigeonholing herself by this addiction, and her little spirit quest in book 2 has led her to realize that. My favorite duo in this series has to be Haraldin and Geist, our good cop, bad cop of the team, and what Geist lacks in words, Haraldin definitely makes up for. And this is such an interesting dynamic, how we can have a really fantastic relationship between these 2 people, and it is almost one-sided when it comes to wordplay. I thought that was a really interesting way to introduce a new budding friendship in a book with only having one of them talk to the other, and we are, as readers, are just getting the body movements of responses that Geist is giving Haraldin on back, and we can all tell that they are, if not already best friends, going to definitely get there very soon. The last 2 I'll touch on is Laruna and Jin. I like these characters, though they didn't really stand out too much in my opinion. It was evident that they would probably form a romantic relationship between the 2 with the level of hatred they had at the beginning of the story, and as we all know, if 2 people hate each other at the beginning of a story, then they're either going to resolve their differences by the end of it, or one is going to end up dead. So it was going to be either one of the 2, and the former was the more likely option there. When it came to Jin and his father, the Litch, I was a big fan of their dialogue during their battles. While they're trying to kill each other, the father is tearing down Jin for his posture and how he is really disregarding the name of the family, as the Litch is trying to kill all living beings and create an undying race. He's still worried about how he's perceived, or at least his son is perceived. And I just had a big ol' laugh at that, and I imagine y'all did as well. As of right now, the 3rd book and the conclusion of the series is almost done with revision, I believe, and should be out in the next year or 2. I'm under the impression it is going to be the fight between our adventurers and the statue that is in the main capital of this land, and is going to provide some interesting conundrums for our protagonists. I do think that the 7th hero is going to be Poldo. I think he's a Frereling, and the reason I think that is because this book is half and half fantasy and satire on the political systems. And we have our 6 characters who are definite fighters and adventurers filling that fantasy role. So the 7th hero should be someone who has the ability to deal with the financial structures of the world around them. And Paldo definitely fits the bill there, seeing as he is falling into Gorm's same mindset of having to protect the foes, with Paldo investing in real estate to provide housing for those downtrodden species of this world. And I do think that he is going to enter in back to the conversation now that Thane has joined him as a bodyguard and fulfill that role to take down this incoming threat with capital structure. But like I said, I want to hear who y'all think the seventh hero is. That's just my prediction there. All in all, I do think we can agree that this is an extremely funny series, and we cannot wait to read book 3, and I hope that y'all all enjoyed it as much as I did. With that, I do appreciate everyone's time, and I hope that y'all keep reading.